Well, hello everyone. This is Robin Carter, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator out of Flower Mound, Texas. And today I'm here to share my first set of alternative cards using the March 2024 paper pumpkin kit named Memorable Meadows. So I'm really looking forward to making alternatives with this kit as we get double-sided card bases, which if you've seen my channel before, you know I always cut those apart to at least make two, usually more than two. So before we begin, let me thank those of you that have subscribed to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for subscribing. And if you're brand new to finding my videos, welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope you find some inspiration with this video, and please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel so you can follow me as I make alternatives for this kit as well as any bundle classes. So I've got a little business to share, but I also want to tell you that stay tuned throughout the whole video because at the very end I'm going to share some exciting news coming with a new annual catalog. I did attend Houston on stage, so I have some stuff to share with you. So I'll share that at the end of the video so we can get on to the intent of this video, which is to make alternatives. So to start with, I wanted to use this card base. You know what? Actually, I forgot to share information about the upcoming paper pumpkin. So let me jump in and do that real quick. That's why I have everything here. So here is a preview of the next quarter of paper pumpkin kits. There is also a new set of add-on dies called Thanks and Beyond, and the item number for it is 164397. And by the way, I'm proud to announce that I have an online store, and I've put that in the left bottom corner of this video. And if you're watching on your phone, it's going to be very little. I tried to make it where it didn't cover up too much space, but I wanted to announce that to everyone. I still have my host code going, but if you visit my shop under specials, I will always list the current host code in case you can't find it. And there also is a link, if you're brand new to Paper Pumpkin, of how to join with me as your demonstrator. If you do not already have a demonstrator, I would be honored to be yours. So anyway, this is the one going on now is the subscription period for April. And it shows just a little image of a butterfly pop-up. I don't know if that's part of a card base or a die. It might be a pop-up of the card base. But it looks like it's going to be a pretty kit. It's going to make 9 cards, and if you've followed my channel, you know I always make more than the intended card designs. And then there's May. Now, it says it coordinates with the Country Woods Designer Series paper. So stay tuned to the end of this video. I actually received that as a prize patrol item, so I'll be able to show you that DSP at the end. And then June, they have it here in black and white because it's going to feature some of the new in colors, which I will also show you at the end of this video, the new in colors. They're very pretty. So stay tuned for that, and let's get started now. I'll share this along the way so we can go ahead and get started. So like I said, I started out with this card base. Now I've already pre-cut one, but I wanted to show you the whole card base. So I'm going to make 3 actual cards out of this. We'll just make one today. So here are the measurements for it. You're going to cut 2 of them at 2 inches and 2 7/8 inches. So 1, 2, and then your remaining will be 2.75. So I just leaves 1 at 2.75. And then we're going to trim them all to 5 3/8. I would actually cut from the sky here so you don't lose any pretty stuff. So if you want to cut that 5 3/8 first, feel free to do that. Did I already pre-cut mine? No, I did not. So we'll get out the trimmer and do that. So I have one piece here left. So let's cut that to 5 3/8. And then I'll show you the rest of the supplies needed. So I'm going to bring my trimmer and put it diagonally so that you can see the whole thing. So there's 5 inches, and then 3/8 is right there. So just a sliver off the sky. All right, so let me get out my goodies with all the things we'll need for this. Actually, let me put away this card base. I may try to make different things rather than making 9 of these cards. That would be a lot. So tuck those away. By the way, if you're new to my channel, these are what I call my favorite things. This is described as a 7x9, even though it's almost 10 inches long. I also use a 5x7 and a 3x5 that I'll show you later. And they help me organize my extra supplies and paper pumpkins in here versus the big thick box. They also store memories and more, as well as my pre-cut card bases that I'm almost out of. So let's hope I don't run out before this video is over. So I have links to where I purchased those in the description box of this video. Just go to the video and then click more, I think it is, and then scroll all the way down and you'll see the links. Now the links are safe links from Amazon. I'm required to tell you that I am an Amazon affiliate, so when you use those links to purchase these products, I get a few pennies back at no cost to you, just as a reward from Amazon for recommending these products. So if you have used those in the past, thank you so much. And if you plan to use them, thank you as well. All right, so I have all the goodies in here. You're going to need an embossing folder. I use the distress tile, and the item number for it is here, 162189. It's a beautiful one. I have a thick white card base, and then I already pre-embossed the little distress tile piece. And anywhere from like 1 3/8 inch to 1 1/2, just something that's going to cover up the whole thing. Now I also brought in one of my favorite stamp sets called Courage and Faith. So, but I am going to show you, if you don't have this, how you can just use this kit for the sentiment part. So we're going to use that, and also a little label die. Now this label is from this set called Nested Essentials Dies. It has some very nice dies of different shapes, some flags. I like these for something different. And they all have stitching, which if you follow my channel, you know I love stitching. So the item number for these Nested Essential dies are 161597. By the way, if you do purchase something from me, selecting me as your demonstrator, and your order is $75 or more, you will receive a special gift from me as a thank you for your order. So I forgot to mention that as well. All right, so let's get started. Let's go ahead and adhere this down. I'm going to put it on the right-hand side of my card, but I want to feel to make sure I have the front on top, which I do. So, you know what? That is kind of crooked. I need to see if I can trim off just a hair of this card base. So I make my own with the scoreboard, and I do it while I watch TV. So I could, like, not get it in there straight to begin with. So sometimes I just have to fix them. So easy peasy on that. All right, I'm going to grab my multi-purpose liquid glue, and we're going to adhere this on the right-hand side. Let me make sure it's 5 3/8, which it is not. Let me just do that on the side. Okay, I didn't figure you need to see me bring out my trimmer again, just to trim that to 5 3/8. By the way, I love comments. I try to read them all and at least tell you thank you for watching and commenting. I also like to hear where you're from. I find that interesting as well, like states, city, something like that, or country. I do have some out of the country who watch and have replied to my video. Okay, so this is going to go here, but I want to actually put a coordinating cardstock with it. So I'm going to bring Night of Navy in. Okay, I store all my paper in hanging file folders, and you can see here I did a little tab with the cardstock and the name. So I have many scraps in my paper, And I'm going to share with you a little paper saving technique. So if you're like me, when you cut a lot of card front layers, say 4 by 5 1/4, you end up with several of these little strips. Now, if you're not into paper conservation, then you can just put a whole panel behind here with the border of your liking. But I'm going to use this little strip on each side. So I'm going to cut this at 5 1/2. And later we're going to cut it to 5 3/8. I just like to go ahead and cut it in half. So then I'm going to bring in my silicone mat because I find that the tape runner actually works best. Now I still have the old style of snail, so since I use my liquid glue most of the time, I still have some of this left. And now it's, I forget what they call it. Stampin' Seal, I think is what it's called, and Stampin' Seal Plus. All right, so then, and I also like to do this on the white paper, I just line up one edge and then get look to eye an equal border around each side. So let's do the other side. Try to get it about the same. Okay, so there we go. No one would know that we cheated and just used strips, except you and I. So that's why I like to go ahead and go with the 5 1/2 piece in case it hangs up a little bit. I can trim it, and then off the bottom I can just follow along and trim those little pieces off with my scissors. So now we have a bordered piece. I'm going to leave that on my silicone mat because it still has some sticky showing. So I hope that gives you a little tip. I love to share tips throughout my video, so that's why I also say stay tuned through the whole thing. All right, so we're going to adhere this to the card base as well. I'm going to use my Tombow multi-purpose glue. Okay, I love the Tombow multi-purpose because it gives me wiggle room to get my pieces lined up straight with each other. Okay, so there is the base of our card. So now for the fun stuff. Let me clean up some of this other stuff. Okay, I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus. Now the Stamparatus is a stamp positioning tool that Stampin' Up! Is no longer allowed to carry. So if you missed out on the Stamparatus, I do have, in part of my favorite things, a link to the Misty, which is a stamp positioning tool. I hate to call it my favorite things because this one is my favorite, but this is no longer available. So I want to give you an option. Okay, I was going to show you how I do this. So the first thing I do is go cut a negative out of some thick paper. Usually a scrap, like if I've messed up a card base or something, I will use those to make my negatives. So I cut out a piece, and then I can just cut a whole lot of white ones. So I will stick that in there. But first we want to get our stamp lined up. Now I'm going to turn it back this way so I can kind of get it straight. Actually, let me take this off and I'll show you exactly what I do. All right, so we're going to put this down, and I try to line up my stamp at least so it's straight with the lines, and that Proverbs gives me a nice straight line. All right, so I pick it up, and by the way, I do have my label on this, and it's the cling style, so it clings really well. So I put a little piece of my leftover label maker tape that's underneath here so that it gives me a good place to lift off the stamp so I don't damage it, because I tend to sometimes leave mine on for a long time, especially when I have a class, and then they are stuck so hard that you almost damage it trying to get it off. But with that little piece of tape, it helps me not do that. I have my phone over here. I'm expecting a delivery, so if I get a phone call, I will just pause the video and I'll send this out with that part clipped off. So hopefully he's not going to come before I'm done with the video. Okay, So there it is, stamped on there. So now I can take my negative piece, which I put it here under my Tombow. Okay, so I can line this up. Now my label may be crooked on here, but I can use the grid lines of the Stamparatus to make sure it's going to go straight. And then I can just eyeball center to center. So there's like 1, 2.5, 1, 2, 3. Eyeball where it goes in the center. And then you can tape it down with washi tape. I have Scotch tape here. Just something that's going to hold it firm. And if you don't want the ink on the back of your label, I just take a damp paper towel, clean that off, and that's why I get little ink spots there. But I'm okay with that because it shows me which side is the top after a while. All right, we can stick our label in there. I'm going to turn this back where you can see it. Ink up our stamp. Make sure it stays in there good. And then press. So this is the way I do all of my things that I either do a cut file for, which by the way, I have a scan and cut, which I love. And I did a video back in October of 2023 showing how I use my scan and cut with Paper Pumpkin, as well as I use them for stamp sets that don't have dies, like this set. Okay, that looks good, so let's set that aside. And so I do have a chamois, but I do like to tap it off first with a damp paper towel, and that way I don't have to go and rinse my chamois out as much. Okay, so while I have this out, we're going to go ahead and do the leaves I wanted to do on the side of this sentiment. So let me pull out those. Get my Night and Navy. Let me clean off my desk. Here's one I have pre-done, and I think I pre-did both. But this shows you the 3 by 5 index card size that I store my cut elements. Like here's the little flower for that card. So let's get out one and stamp and color it. So this is the one that goes here. I need the one that goes there. I just happened to grab one. Okay, so I went in and made a cut file of this. Now, if you have this stamp set and a scan and cut, just note that you're going to have to connect all these little berries, or especially the ones that are not attached. You're going to have to attach that to the base so that they will include it in the cut, because it does a solid image cut. Now with this one, it's more detailed, so you do have to connect those berries. But I tend to like this one the best. So I want to show you how I made that. So it's right here. Now I'm going to ink it with Mossy Meadow. I know we've had Mossy Meadow as an ink spot with Paper Pumpkin, so that was part of my reason for doing that one. Now my full-size pad is going to get both. So you know what? I might as well stamp the other one while I'm here, if I can find one that's on the left. Okay, so just make sure they're in the negative piece, and then I can stamp. Now always remember, you really don't want to put things within 1 inch of this, because you'd have to press really hard, and I'm going to press extra hard just to make sure that gets all the way down. I wonder if my leaf moved. It's not quite in the center, but we'll go with it. It's pretty good. This one needs inked a little more. Well, okay, that's better. So that's how I do a lot of my stamps. Even if this were a die, I would have done it the same way by lining it up and then putting it in my stamp positioning tool And that way you can just cut a whole bunch of white and then come and stamp and stamp and stamp versus stamp, die cut, stamp, die cut. Saves a lot of time. It also saves on paper because you can get many more die cuts closer together that way, or at least I find that is true. Okay, and then we're going to color these. Now, since it's tone on tone-ish, I'm going to use my watercolor pencils. Now, watercolor pencils are a great value. I've had my original ones for quite a long time and still have lots of use. Like this is my old olive. So I want to point out that before this last catalog, they reconfigured them when they did the color change. So this is the old set and this is the new set. They got rid of Bermuda Bay, Pacific Point, and Rich Razzleberry because those were retired. And they brought in just a blue, it doesn't have a name, just blue, fresh freesia, and pecan pie. So I'm going to use the old olive just out of my old set because I want to use it first. But if you don't have watercolor pencils, these would be a great thing to add, especially if you need some more things, if you're getting the add-on dies to spread out the cost of the shipping. The item number for this is 161700. Okay, the second set has things like a balmy blue, cherry cobbler, flirty flamingo, Cajun craze, and this set did not change. The item number for this set is 149014. So this one has 10 and this one has 13. But the great thing is you can just go in and kind of scribble. You don't even have to be real perfect unless you're not going to use the blender pen. I'm going to use the blender pen to help blend in these colors. Or color, it's not plural. Okay, so you're just getting some down there. Now I'm going to bring in a blender pen. So blender pens are like this. The item number is 102845. And they come in a pack of 3. So I have went ahead and kind of dedicated one end to a certain color. And that way I don't have to scribble off the color and waste all the nice little blending juices that are in my pen. I got kind of tired of scribbling just to change colors. So they'll last longer this way. So you can see this blender pen really does smooth out the watercolor pencils and makes for a pretty image. Now I will say, if you use Memento, it's likely to kind of give you a muddy color with that. So if you're going to use Memento as your outline, you might want to consider using this Dazon ink. But since I used Mossy Meadow here, there was no problem there. Now I'm just going to fill in these berries with a little fresh freesia, just because I know that's a coordinating color with the card. That one there. Okay, so we can bring our card back, and I'm going to put this up on dimensionals, the sentiment, and it's going to go right here. So especially when you cut this into 3, you're going to have one that has a score line in it. Let me see if I have that one in my bag of goodies. Okay, I do. So here's another one. So one good thing about this label is it's going to hide most of the score line in that card base, which is fine. Now I did take this and I put it in my emboss machine. Put a small piece of paper behind it and above it, and then run it through your plates, and it does help smooth out that line a little bit. If you have an embossing folder, especially the old retired subtle, that would be great. Another one would be the painted texture to make it look like a canvas or something, and that would get rid of the score line. So there's just a tip on that for if you're going to do all 3 like this design. I'm going to put up my sentiment on dimensionals. Okay, so that's going to go there, and then I'm going to put my cute little greenery on each side. But since it's going to hang off a little bit, I'm going to put a dimensional on the outside far piece in the center. Okay, and then on each end, I'm going to get my multi-purpose glue and just put a dot of adhesive so that it will stick to the label. You can also use a glue dot if you prefer that. All right, so let's take off the backing. And this one's going to go here. And this one is going to go over here. I just try to line those up and not cover the sentiment. Okay, so that is that. But I also wanted to just share that if you don't have this set, you can easily use one of the labels. Now, this is very similar to the label that's in our kit, except it has gold foiling, but I didn't want to use those yet in case I use them on another card. So if you have the Love of Spring dies, which were from the last quarter of Paper Pumpkin, which is, if they're still available, they're a great set of dies. You could just simply do this label, which is a stamp in our kit. And I stamped this on the right-hand side so that I could put a leaf there. I think that would be a good alternative to just use Paper Pumpkin supplies. So I got to here and I'm like, okay, it's still missing a little something. So I decided to do one of the flowers from our kit. So like I said, I do have a scan and cut, and I have some of those already pre-cut. I'm getting low. I'm going to have to cut some more. And I did do a negative piece, much like my other labels. And that way I can just cut and stick them in there, and they'll be ready to stamp. And it does have a little adhesive on the back from where I stick my paper to my mat, which I find that's okay. It helps me know which side is the bottom, and then it also helps it stick in my Stamparatus. All right, I'm going to ink this up with Memento ink, Tuxedo Black, and my dimensional stuck. So give that just a second to absorb into the paper. Now this is where I'm saying you can color this with the blender pen. It just really might muddy up with the black. That's not exactly centered, is it? Let's try again, see if I didn't push this all the way in the center or something. I don't think I moved anything, but we'll try again. By the way, if you love this kit, refills, if they're available, that will be maybe now. I didn't look because it is the 21st. But also there was the Garden Meadow. I have a bucket of goodies here on that. So I did do an online free class using this product. So there's a great amount of DSP with a lot of the same similar designs. Okay, and so this kit does coordinate with that. I took quite a few of them as my trade cards at convention, but here's just a sample of some that I made. So if you missed that video, you might want to go check that out. And this paper is gorgeous. So much like these cards. That was an online exclusive set that came in November. Okay, much better. We'll use that flower. Okay, so here's our card. So just to go along with the blue, I decided to use a blue color. Now I'm going to use my blend. And I decided on the soft blue of Balmy Blue. So I'm just going to go along the center there in these lines that were done for us with the dark. And then I'm going to get out the light and just blend that out. Okay. And then I just have Old Olive Light. My dark is out. So we'll just let it not do quite blending, just to color it. Make that more realistic of a green. And then for the center, I think I have, well, my blend is not here, but my marker is. So I'll just be real careful and try not to grab the black. Because since it's water-based, it could blend it and kind of make it muddy looking. Okay, so I wanted to adhere this to the card. I'm going to get my multi-purpose glue. And stick that there. So the only other thing I would do is add some embellishments. Here's my other two that I did. So I hope you've enjoyed this alternative as well as any tips I might have shared. So I'll add the rhinestones later. But now, as promised, I want to give you a sneak peek of things coming with a new catalog. So let me just clear this off a second and grab that. Okay, so here is the new annual catalog. I'm only able to share the cover with you, which, by the way, if you have purchased from me over the last year, you will receive one of these in the mail, probably mid-April to late April. I have to sign up for all that by March 31st. So this is the label now, or the catalog. When I'm able to share more, I'm going to walk through this catalog because it's set up just a little bit different. So to help you understand that better, I will go through that. Now, if I didn't mention the May paper pumpkin that I gave you a preview of, it coordinates with this paper called Country Woods. Now, I happen to receive this one through Prize Patrol. So let's give a quick peek at it. I haven't even really looked at it yet myself. So there's this pretty side. I'm going to turn it more, I think, like it's supposed to be. I love blues. Oh, and look at that. That is so pretty. All right. And then we have more wood grain type paper. Oh, and that's gorgeous as well. I love the colors of that. So a nice neutral background for cards. And this is going to be in the new catalog. I think I like this side better of that one. And we start one more. Oh, did I move the camera? Sorry about that. This one. Oh, and look at that. I love that side. So some nice neutral paper for backgrounds. They would make great masculine cards as well. So that is the Country Woods 12 by 12 Designer Series paper. The coordinating colors are basic beige, which, by the way, that is a new neutral color, much like our white and vanilla. Basic gray, crumb cake, early espresso, gray granite, misty moonlight, pecan pie, petal pink, pool party, smoky slate, and wild wheat. And the item number when this is available is 163393. So this was a great prize patrol for me over at On Stage. You know what? I'll stick that in there later. And now I'm here to share with you the new in colors. So we were able to make a little color swatch at On Stage, and so I have this to share. Now take into account that this is not on the basic white smooth paper for stamping, so the images might be a little off. But the new colors are peach pie, and I stamped once with full strength ink, and then without re-inking, I stamped again, which is called second generation stamps. And then we have the marker. I did just a brush of the brush tip and the fine tip. The next one is Petunia Pop. So it's a nice color. The next one is Pretty in Pink. Now, if you have been a Stampin' Up! Customer for a while, that will be very familiar to you. It was a pretty pink that was retired long ago. I think it was back before we can even get foam pads. It might have been the linen pads. But I did compare this to some cardstock I had left over, and the cardstock at least is exact. Now, I will buy new ink because I think mine was with the linen pads. But here shows the first generation, second generation. And then there's Shy Shamrock. And then Summer Splash. They might look similar on the video, but they're a little different. It's a little more tealish. So these are going to be the new end colors for 24 through 26. And then don't forget the ones that are retiring, the ones that retired this year, the Orchid Oasis, Starry Sky, Tahitian Tide, Sweet Sorbet, and I'm missing one. But if you have those colors and want the ink refills, you need to order those as soon as possible. It seems like when the retirement list goes up, then the ink refills go the fastest. So be sure and grab those up before they're gone. Speaking of that, the discontinued list is listed now for the mini catalog and the annual catalog. And there's some beautiful things that I love to use all the time that are retiring. But there's some beautiful things to come, which I have one more thing to show. Which was, I did attend, they added a new thing called After Hours. And so we were able to pre-purchase a bundle set of our choice of like 4. And I chose this one. And so it makes a beautiful butterfly and flowers. It is a cling mount stamp, which I love because you can really get the detail with that. But I mainly chose this because of the dies. So I've pre-cut one of the largest ones here. And I just realized that, look, they actually have the same ones that you can nest. There's about 4 of each one. Okay, so that's nice. I don't know why they didn't put them on the same spool, but anyway, this is the one I just showed you. There's one here with just little marks. One much like the radiating dies. And like I said, these would nest nicely if you wanted to do that. So that is why I chose this set. So these will be available for customers starting when the new catalog starts in May. But if you would be interested in joining my team, demonstrators can pre-purchase items starting sometime in April. So if you would love, I would love to have you as part of my team if you ever thought about joining as a demonstrator. So one other thing I do with my dies is as soon as I get them, I throw them in my copy machine, my printer. It's also a copier, and make a copy, and I write how many dies are on each sleeve. That way, if I'm missing one, I can look at that and see which one I'm missing and go through my craft room like crazy till I find it. So that has really helped a lot. So that is a preview of the new stuff I have from Onstage. And so I'm looking forward to working with new stuff. So thanks for joining me today, everyone. Again, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would really appreciate your subscription, and take note of my new online store as well as the March host code. So I would greatly appreciate your business, or if you're decided to be a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to have you as part of my team. So until my next alternative, have a great day, everyone, and happy crafting. Bye-bye.